Welcome back to BST, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode. Packed night of sports last night. Wasn't able to get an episode done last night, but here we are midday on Tuesday. We had another Monday Night Football doubleheader. People aren't a fan of it. I thought it was better this time because they staggered them a little bit more. They had been doing the 5 p.m. slot for a game, and then the 6 p.m. slot for a game, Mountain Time, different in Eastern Time. But this time they do the 5 o'clock game Mountain Time, and then they do the 8 o'clock game Mountain Time, which for any of my East Coast listeners, I feel really bad for you. If you're a Seahawks fan or a Texans fan or you're just a football enjoyer, you want to watch that game? 10 p.m. for a game? Like, that is brutal. You ain't getting done till 11, 12 o'clock at night. Not 11, what am I talking about? 12 or later at the very least. So I don't know what they're doing there. That's a rough one. Good thing it wasn't a great game to watch. Pretty sloppy game. Really, in that game, there's not much to go off of. We know the Seahawks are a pretty good team. I want to talk about CJ Stroud a little bit in that one. But let's start with and then later on in the episode, we'll get to the baseball game last night. That was amazing. And the World Series, that game one's coming up on Friday. We also have basketball starting back up tonight, so that should be all good. But let's start with the main one, the most anticipated matchup of the night between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. Pretty underwhelming game. I thought it'd be a shootout. I betted like it would be a shootout. I picked the over on the points. I picked Detroit under 5, or I picked the Buccaneers plus 5.5. So I thought it'd be a close game. I thought it could go either way. I mean, you had the Buccaneers were the 1 seed in the NFC coming into this game, and you had the Lions who just came off of a loss to Kansas City pretty handily. And you know the storyline coming in. Lions are missing their top 4 DBs. Kirby Joseph gets suspended. Brian Branch gets suspended. Kirby Joseph is injured. So those are 2 of the best safeties in football, and they're out. And Terrion Arnold is injured. DJ Reed is injured. Terrion Arnold has had a rough year, but I mean, losing your 2 starting corners is rough. Very, very similar to last year when they lost their 2 corners. Not lost their 2 corners, but just as a team, they had a ton of injuries. But big for Detroit this game. You get Aleem McNeil back. He's a very, very good interior defensive lineman. So you get him back. But to have your four top DBs out is just brutal. So going into this game, I'm like, man, Tampa really has an opportunity here to take advantage of this really poor Detroit Lions pass defense. And Detroit just laughed in my face because they played such a good game defensively. And I'll be honest, though, I did not think Baker Mayfield had his best night. He was overthrowing receivers like Bo Nix out there. Shout out to Jason for that one. But he was overthrowing players. He was just not his MVP self. And for the first 6 weeks of the season, we're like, Baker's the MVP. He's playing like it. The team has momentum. They're 5-1. They're atop the NFC. He has these moments that are just MVP worthy. And in this game, it just wasn't there. It wasn't there. And he missed multiple touchdowns. He had Ibuka for a touchdown. He had, I think it was Shepard for a touchdown, or it might have been Tez Johnson for a touchdown that he just airmails. And on the Ibuka one, he was pressured, came up a little bit short. So when Baker's not playing himself, he's kind of the entire Bucs team. Like, they have good players on defense. Vita Vea is a great player. Absolutely just a big run stuffer. Antoine Winfield is a phenomenal safety. But when your quarterback's not playing that at the top level, it's going to be hard to move the ball. And they can't run the ball without Bucky Irving. Rashad White's just not efficient. And they don't seem to really trust him. And they got down early and often in this game. So they only ran the ball 12 times all game. And one was with Teddy Bridgewater. I just saw that on the box score. I'm like, what? I don't even remember. That might have been like when they pulled Baker at the end. They must have. I stopped tuning in at that point. I was watching the baseball game. But yeah, when you throw 50 passes most of the time when you're throwing 50 passes, it's just not a good formula for success. Even with the best quarterbacks, it's just really hard to consistently throw passes. The teams know what you're doing. Running the ball is so crucial to offensive success. And last year, we saw them be really successful on offense because they ran the ball so well with Bucky Irving. And right now, they just don't have that element to their team. It's worked so far, but I put the Bucs number one in the power rankings last week just because you kind of had to. They were 5-1 and top of the NFC, and they're playing good ball. But I think this whole time they're kind of a B level contender right now. Just if you think about their team, it's not great. You lose Mike Evans in this game, rough. Chris Godwin's still out. Ibuka didn't have the biggest impact that he's had so far this year. But I think it would have been better if Baker was more on today, but definitely a little bit concerning. So for Tampa, you just got to regroup, get a little bit healthier on offense, get some of your weapons back, and they're going to be a good team. They're going to be a playoff team because certainly Atlanta doesn't seem to be any sort of a threat, a big-time threat. So I think they'll win their division, but I think they're just kind of capped out as maybe they'll win the wild card and lose in a divisional as they have in the past couple of years. I just think that's still where they're at. So we'll see how it goes from here. But for Detroit, man, like I said, Baker missed some throws, but this DB room just played their ass off. I mean, I think this is so true with the Niners, with the Lions. These two teams are so well coached. It doesn't matter who enters in the game. These players play up to the standard. There is the standard. I think that's a Mike Tomlin quote. The standard is the standard, or whatever he says. The standard in Detroit is so high that players play above, like maybe where their skill level is. They just execute. And we saw it last year. They were so injured defensively last year. And they, at home, for the division, for the 1 seed, played the Minnesota Vikings. And they shut them down. One of the best offenses in the league last year. They shut them down with so many starters missing on defense. Absolutely crazy. And they're doing it the same way this year. Rock Ya-Sin had a phenomenal game. And he goes out. They are absolutely bitten by the injury bug right now, but it doesn't matter because Dan Campbell has such a good culture there. You get thrown in the lineup, they know what to do. And Shepard, the defensive coordinator, said last week that he felt like he got away from what they normally do as a defense because of the injuries. But this week he's like, you know what? We're just going to play our game. And that's what I've always gotten mad at Matt LaFleur for doing that sometimes offensively, where he tries to play to beat a team or play opportunistically against their tendencies so that like each defense or each play that they run is trying to attack their weaknesses. But sometimes you just gotta play your game. You just gotta play your game and it works out. And that's what the Lions did in this game. They played their defensive game. They let Aiden Hutchinson eat against that path or against that O-line. He was getting pressure all night. He's such a good player. And you have Aleem McNeil back in the middle. He had a big pass deflection, knocked it down on third down early in the game. And they just let these corners just play their game, play loose. And they played a phenomenal game. And honestly, Detroit offensively could have done a lot better. I didn't think Jared Goff had his best stuff. But Gibbs is explosive, ran for like a 70-yard touchdown or something like that. He's good on the ground. He's good through the air. And even though this still is kind of a split backfield, I feel like they got to just start giving it to Gibbs more because Montgomery, he's a good power back, but he just limits them on an explosive basis, down to down. Like, I just think Gibbs is just so explosive, probably the most explosive running back, if not player in the league. Like, he can turn any carry into a touchdown. I just think you got to start feeding Gibbs more. I know it's to keep him kind of fresh, but I just think you got to take advantage of these young years of Gibbs where he's just crazy explosive. So I don't think their offense played as good as they could have in this game. Honestly, Tampa was lucky it was 14-3 at the half. Like, it should have been 28-3 at the half, if not 28-0 at the half. Like, they really did not play a good game. And, Goff had the pick, he had the fumble early. So Detroit isn't even playing their best ball offensively, and they just beat the number one seed in the NFC 24-9. They're certainly a scary team moving forward, but they have to get healthy defensively because I think other teams, other contenders, are going to be able to exploit the corners a little bit more than Tampa did tonight. But just a phenomenal win from Detroit, and never doubt Dan Campbell. He will get his team ready to play, motivated, ready to play. And I was just super impressed by Detroit tonight. I think they definitely top 3 in the league at this point. I think you got to put the Colts number 1. We'll have the power rankings on Thursday. Once my buddies come over, watch that game, and we'll do an episode. Because Thursday night, we don't like doing the power rankings on Thursday because sometimes you're kind of playing it unfairly. Like in past Thursday night football games, we've had like the Rams lose, and then you're like, man, the Rams kind of deserve to be in the power rankings for the week prior, but they lose the Niners, and you're like, you can't put them there. So it's kind of flawed, but I think on Thursday it's Chargers, Vikings. I don't think any of those teams are in the power rankings, the top 10 of the league. I don't think so. So I think it should be fine. We'll do that there. But yeah, Lions, man, they're playing good football. I know they just lost to the Chiefs, but this was an impressive win, and it could have been worse. So, a lot to go off of for Detroit, and we'll see how the NFC shakes down from here. My Packers are the 1 seed somehow. I don't know how. We're not playing good football, but you know what? Sometimes it's better to just be at the top and not playing good football than be playing your best football and you're not at the top. So. We'll see how this division shakes out. It should be a good one. Let's get to the Seahawks-Texans game. I didn't watch barely any of this game. It's just like so boring. Like I can't stand watching the Texans. Their offense is so horrible. And the Seahawks, I will say, I've been very wrong in Sam Darnold coming into this year. And JSN too. I did not think Sam Darnold would be very good. And I just thought everything in Minnesota was so perfect. Like you had 2 great receivers, including arguably the best receiver in football. And you had a pretty good O-line, and you had Kevin O'Connell, who is just known for taking kind of mediocre quarterbacks and turning them into studs. So I was just like, man, Sam Darnold, you go to the Seahawks, and I assume their line would be worse than they're playing this year. Their line is playing fairly well this year. So I'm like, man, their line isn't great. He's not going to have the protection. He needs protection. He's a pocket passer. And the weapons, I wasn't thrilled by them. I knew Jackson Smith-Njigba was a good player. I just didn't know how he fit in. I didn't know losing DK, what that would do. Because, I perceived him as a slot coming into this year. He has turned himself into an X or Z receiver or X or Y receiver on the outside. So he's completely transformed his game to be able to work on the outside. And, so far this year, he has a legit argument for Offensive Player of the Year. I think does he even have a game where he doesn't have 100 yards this season? Like, he is on fire. Still can't run the ball very well. I know plenty of fantasy managers are not happy about Sharp getting all the carries on the goal line, getting 2 touchdowns in this game, even though Kenneth Walker had 5 more carries. I think Kenneth Walker is a better player. I don't think either of them are that great, but I've heard they're in the market for Achane, so that could be interesting. If all I ask as an Achane owner in fantasy, if you guys trade for him, please use him. Please use him. He's like one of the best receiving backs in football. Just use him if you do. So Seahawks, good defensively. Their offense is moving the ball. They're gonna be a force. I still don't trust Sam Darnold when it comes to the playoffs, but for now, 5-2, tied for the division lead. I like what the Seahawks are cooking with right now. But let's get to the Texans. Kind of a somber team, 2-4 now. And mostly, I just want to focus this on C.J. Stroud. After that rookie year, we thought this guy was the next up, the next face of the league. Because he played just really well that year. He did. Let's see, what were his totals? He had 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. So even just looking at that, like it wasn't like just like groundbreaking. Like it wasn't the most insane performance you've ever seen from a player, certainly. But I mean, he played really good, and he had that really clutch performance against Tampa in where he threw like 5 touchdowns, including the game winner. And down the stretch, he played really good, got him into the playoffs, and they just destroyed the Cleveland Browns in the wild card round, lost to the Ravens in the divisional. But still, great year. He wins the Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. And we think the sky is the limit for this guy. And these past 2 years, it's just been downhill. Last year, 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. And so far this year, 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4 picks. So that's not horrible. 9 touchdowns at this point in the year isn't horrible. But he's just not, he's not been the same player we saw in 2023. And, everybody killed the Panthers for saying you drafted Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. And I know the main argument right now is look at what Stroud's line is. They're bad. And I get it. It's hard to play quarterback when your line is bad. And certainly last year was really bad, 52 sacks. The year but honestly, the year before, it wasn't great either. In his rookie year, his line wasn't great. And I don't know who's to blame. I don't know if it's a play calling. You thought it was a play calling with, I can't remember the guy's name, whoever their OC was. Everybody hated the guy. Now they got a different dude. Doesn't seem to be any different. So I don't know what the Texans do from here. You thought coming into the season they were nearly a lock for winning the division because we just didn't really know what the Jaguars, and who could have seen what the Colts are doing. Who could have seen that coming? So it's just disappointing, man. And now Bryce Young has a better record than CJ Stroud this year at 4-3, which is crazy. The Panthers are 4-3. Like what bizarro land do we live in? Let me make sure that's right, because now I can't even believe it myself. Are the Panthers really 4-3? That's crazy. Let's see. Yep, the Carolina Panthers are 4-3. That is wild. Good for them. Good for them. But I'm not saying that Young is playing better than Stroud, because I still think Young has his limitations, and I don't think that Young is going to be a very good player in this league. I think he's limited. He can make plays sometimes, but he's just limited. And I think Stroud on paper is the better player. I think Stroud, it's just such a bizarre turn of events. And I don't know what happened, but he's just not as good of a player. And the Texans can't run the ball. And, Nico Collins, at least last year, they were feeding Nico Collins, and he was playing really well. This year, they can barely get him the ball. And it's just disappointing. For a team, you thought they had the brightest future ever, and it's just not the case. So, tough one for the Texans. They drop to 2-4, losing 27-19 to the Seahawks. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that with CJ Stroud, because I've seen a lot of hate and a lot of comments about his career and where it goes from here. Who knows, man? It's tough. It's tough to play in this league when you don't got the protection. It certainly is tougher, and I'm not sure that's what it is, but definitely a factor so far into his career. But wishing all the best for CJ Stroud. Speaking of Seattle, let's get to last night's ALCS Game 7. What a game. Tough one for Seattle. I was sitting there in the 6th inning, and I'm like, man, once the Seahawks game started, I'm like, man, once the Mariners win this, Lumen Field is going to go nuts in Seattle, because that's where the Seahawks were at home. Obviously, this game was being played in Toronto, and going into the 7th inning, the Mariners were up 3-1, and they had an insurance home run from Cal Raleigh early on in the, I think it was the 5th inning. So at that point, I'm like, man, the Mariners are actually going to do this. And, I know a bunch of Mariners fans, and they've been happy all series, happy to just be here, because, they're the only team who hasn't made it to a World Series now. And it's just rough, man. You're up 3-1 going into the seventh inning. You know, you're only 9 outs away. 9 outs away from a World Series appearance. You were up 2-0 in this series. And then you kind of sputtered since then, but you win game 5, and you're like, man, this is this our year? Is this our year to finally go back? And they got the players. Cal Rowley, such a clutch player, hit the home run in game 5. And then you have the grand slam in game 5 as well by Eugenio Suarez. You're like, man, this is it. This is their moment. Like, it just felt meant to be at that point. And like, obviously for years now we've said they have the best pitching in the league, and it's just, can the offense come through? And finally this year it did. And, you know, I was talking with my buddy who's a Mariners fan. Like, Cal Rowley almost win, or I mean, we don't know yet. I don't think he's the MVP, but he has the argument. He had an MVP type season. You know, you sweep the Astros to win the division, and the Astros have kind of been the big bad over the past couple of years, obviously with the whole cheating and stuff. And you know, you get in the playoffs, you have a bye, obviously because you're to the 2 seed. And then you beat the Tigers in 15 innings in game 5 of the ALDS. So, I mean, just some special moments. And then you get here and you have the game 5, like I said, and it's just rough. You go up 2-0. So it just felt like a special season for the Mariners, and a season that just felt meant to be. And ultimately, they come up just short. And on the Blue Jays side, similar to the Mariners, it just felt like a special season. I mean, honestly, I wish this was the World Series. Like, this was a phenomenal series. And in the 7th inning, George Springer, 3-run dinger, and just eerily similar to Jose Bautista's dinger. I can't remember what year that was. They were facing the Rangers. And both in the bottom of the 7th, both 3-run home runs, both in the same area of the stands. Just crazy. And I mean, Springer for years, as an Astros fan, I know Springer for years. I mean, this is what he does in the playoffs. He's a clutch hitter. Contributed to obviously the World Series win, and multiple other series wins. The Astros were very successful. You could say if it was the cheating or not, but they were very successful while he was there. And he had multiple clutch hits. And here's another one. And for the Blue Jays, you know, it takes a lot of guts. You're going into the 7th inning. You're like, man, we're down 3-1. That's a tough deficit. And Wu was still in the game at that point, and he gets 2 runners on. I probably would have kept him in the game. I hate when they just pull their guys, because I've seen it so often. They pull the guys. It happened to the Astros in 2019. They pull Zach Greinke, and the guy gives up a dinger to win the game. And in this one, they pull Wu. They put in Bizzardo or whatever it is his name is. Let me see what his name. Yeah, Bizzardo gives up the game winner. So it's just a rough one. I would have kept Wu in. I get it. The guy's allowed 2 base runners. You got to pull him. But I would have kept him in. But yeah, should be interesting now. Blue Jays move on in game 7. What a game. It was a fantastic game. And, you know, the Blue Jays are scrappy. Let's just get to the World Series now. Blue Jays, Dodgers. And Blue Jays got home field advantage. So game 1 on Friday in Toronto. I'd like to say I think the Blue Jays will win, but I don't. Dodgers are they're so good, man. They're just so stacked. I think it'd be good for baseball if the Blue Jays won. I'm just not sure it's going to happen. I mean, the Dodgers, their pitching is stacked, their bullpen is stacked, their lineup is stacked. I don't know where you point to. It's just going to come down, can the Blue Jays just be more clutch? Can they be more clutch? Can they find the scrappy hits, the scrappy runs? They got good players. Like, Vlad Jr. is playing out of his mind right now. Won the ALCS MVP. You know, can they get Springer to be even better? Because he didn't have like a phenomenal series, but and he hasn't had a phenomenal playoff, but he got that clutch hit in game 7 to win the game. So can they find that with Springer again, get some clutch hits? and their pitching kind of worries me. Like, it's not phenomenal, the rotation. I think the bullpen is decent, so they're going to be underdogs, no doubt. The Dodgers, they're just the Dodgers. Like, they're just so good. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping at the very least it goes 7. Please just be a good series. And for any Mariners fan, I think as a Mariners fan, even though like the Blue Jays beat you, I think any baseball fan should be cheering against the Dodgers because honestly, it's just bad for baseball if the Dodgers keep winning. Because I mean, they're just buying championships at that point. They have all the best players, and it's only going to get worse. Um, you know, once if Paul Skeens doesn't get extended by the Pirates, which I don't think he should, because they should have let him go so he could pitch for a winning team. But please, not the Dodgers. So I'm hoping the Blue Jays win. I am not confident in them winning, but we'll see what happens. It should be at the very least a decent series and hopefully some good games. Because I mean, the Brewers, they lost 4-0, but there were some close games there. So let's hope. Let's all hope that the Dodgers lose and the Blue Jays get a win here for the sake of baseball. But yeah, that will do it for us today on BST. Please like, subscribe, comment, all those things. Enjoy the basketball games tonight. First year doing fantasy baseball or fantasy basketball. So wish me luck on my draft. Hoping to get Jokic first overall. Should be good. But yeah, excited for all that. Tons of sports. Honestly, this time of year, you got the NFL, you got the NHL, you got the MLB, you got the NBA starting up. The month of October going into November might just be the best period of sports as a total. Obviously, I don't really know about other sports. Those are the 4 that I kind of focus on. But it's just a great time to be alive and be watching sports right now. So yeah, enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see ya in the next one. Peace.